We are going to take another look at just solving some different percent problems. So first off, we just want to know what the general percent proportion looks like, which is that the part over the whole is equal to the percent out of 100. And a keyword for part is, and the keyword for whole is of. When I am filling out my blank proportion, first thing that I do is I fill out 100. So my bottom right is 100. Second thing I do is I look for the percent, because it's either going to say the word percent or you're going to see the percent sign. If I look in this problem, I see my percentage right there, 150%. Third thing I look for is the whole, which is after the word of, specifically after the word of, okay? So when I look at the word of and what follows, it says of what number, which tells me that that whole that goes on the bottom, we don't know it. It says what, we don't know what it is. So the other part is 120 is the part, which matches. Is should tell us the part which goes on top. And now we're just going to solve. So I'm going to multiply 120 times 100, which is going to give me 12,000. Then we're going to divide by the other number. So we're going to divide by 150, which equals 80. So 120 is 150% of 80. Let's try another just basic percent proportion. Setting up my blank proportion. First thing I'm doing is I'm writing 100 in the bottom right corner. Second thing, we're looking for the percent. I see my percentage right here. 70 goes right above the 100. Third thing we're looking for is what comes after the word of, because that tells us the whole. So it says of what number? That tells me I don't know that number. That is what I'm solving for. So my other number, 63, is the part. And then we can solve. We're going to multiply 63 times 100, which equals 6,300. And then we're going to divide that by the other number of 70. So 6,300 divided by 70 is going to give us 90. So those are just two examples that are just regular percent proportions, no word problems. Let's look at lesson 2, which took that a step further to word problems. I'm still going to kind of go through the same steps for the most part. So the Cubs won 55% of the games they played. If they won 66 games, how many games did they play? First thing we're doing, filling out the 100. Next thing I'm doing, I'm looking for the percent. It says 55%. So that is my percent that goes right here. Now, we can't necessarily just look at the words of and is, because those are pretty common in the language. So I got to think about that the top is representing part, the bottom is representing our whole or our total. So for this, the total would be the total games. And the part that we're comparing is the games that they won. They didn't win every single game, they won part of their games or some of their games compared to their total. So when I look at this number, it says they won 66 games. So that's going to go on top with how many they won, the part. We want to solve for how many did they play in total. We're solving for the total. And now our proportion set up. I know you know how to solve a proportion, so let's go ahead and solve. 66 times 100 equals 6,600. Divide that by 55, and we get 120. And specifically, we were just talking about games. So 120 games. All right, number 4, 68% of Valley Creek School students attended this year's homecoming dance. If 459 students attended the dance, how many total students are there in the school? So, bottom right is 100. Second thing that we're looking for is our percent. So I look in the problem here, 68%. Then I'm looking at my other part. So remember, the bottom is the total. And we're comparing, so it says students that attended the homecoming dance. So I'm going to say our top is representing those that went to the dance. So when I look at the 459, it says if 459 students attended the dance, so that is our part, we are solving for how many total students. We're solving for our total. That is our unknown. And then we're going to start solving. Multiplying 459 times 100, which equals 45,900. Dividing by our other number of 68, so 45,900 divided by 68 is equal to 675, and we were solving for students. And in all these examples, it happened to be that we were solving for the whole. That's not always going to be the case. Just make sure that you're using this proportion, part over the whole equals the percent out of 100, and kind of those clues and those steps. Last thing that we're going to look at is the percent change. So percent change and percent error. So we're going to do one of each. Okay, so number 5, last year, David's monthly salary was $2,500. This year, it is $2,600. What is the percent change? I'm going to write out what the general formula is, okay? So we still have the percent out of 100, just like we do for the others. What goes on top here is what the difference is between the two values over the original, okay? So we need to keep that in mind as we are solving our proportion. So I'm going to set up our actual proportion for the problem here. So I'm still putting 100 in the bottom. I'm looking for the percent. I don't see an actual percent sign. I see where it says, what is the percent? That means that's what I'm solving for. Then I'm going to find the difference between 2,500 and 2,600. The difference between those two is 100. And last year it was 2,500. So that's the original because that came first compared to this year. So this is our original. So that is what we're setting our equation, our proportion on over. And now we're going to solve. We're going to do 100 times 100, which is 10,000. And then we're going to divide by our other number, which is 2,500. And we get 4. So it was a 4%. If it went from 2,500 to 2,600, that went up. So it's a 4% increase. So that's a percent change. Now we're going to look at percent error, which is almost identical. So it says, Elena's math class had 24 students. Yesterday, she miscounted the total and she recorded it as 20 students. What is the percent error? So first off, just writing out what our general blank proportion would be. As always, we still have the percent out of 100. We're still going to find the difference between the two values. The difference here and where people make mistakes is it should be over the actual amount. So I'm going to highlight that because that's where people make mistakes, whether it's on this formative or on the test. So let's go ahead and set up our proportion. Still out of 100. I'm looking for a percent sign. I don't see it. That's because the question is asking what is the percent. That's what we're solving for. Going to find the difference between the two. 24 minus 20 is 4. And then I got to figure out which one was the actual. So Elena's math class has 24 students versus she miscounted the 20. So the 20 is wrong. The 24 is the actual amount of the class. So that's what our total is over. And now we can solve. 4 times 100 is equal to 400. Divide by our other number, so dividing by 24. And we get, I'm gonna round my answer, 16. It's 0.6 repeating, which I'm gonna round to 0.7%, and I'm just writing error. And that's it.